Let's talk about watermelon. Welcome back to Sprung On Food. I'm your host, Kae Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is actor and writer at the Groundlings Theater, Ariane Price. Ariane, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to dig in.
Ooh, well, I am very excited to talk with you all about your favorite food, watermelon. I've got to know your relationship with this food, why it's your favorite. Tell me everything.
Well, I've been thinking about why, and it's a very mouthfeel sensuous, not in that way, but
Oh, okay.
the perfect watermelon, when you bite into it, it has a texture unlike anything else I can think of. I wish I could explain it if it's just
Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it can't be mushy and it can't be too hard. So it's right in between that. And the way my husband's actually a chef. The way the way we use watermelon in our house is he cuts it into cubes. He puts it in a strainer over a bowl in the fridge so that all the juice drips down and it still
Oh.
remains juicy, but it's not soggy. And then the other thing I mean, just thinking about it right now, it's like hydration personified. It's more hydrating than water, it
Mhm.
feels. And there's something about the way, I mean, I guess if you looked under under a microscope, it's like it's pure water, but the way the cells are done, it has this almost crunch that releases in your mouth. And I just feel like it's the most reviving food. Also, I love, 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 love to eat for so many reasons. I'm definitely like someone who likes to have something to be snacking on. But watermelon, I don't want to say like the guilt factor of like I can eat as much as I want, but it feels healthy. It feels like life giving, hydration giving. So I can just kind of go to town on it. And it truly occupies my mind.
Yeah, you have painted such an exquisite painting here in my mind's eye between the texture and the experience and the mouthfeel. This is incredible. I have a clarifying question about the cubed watermelon in the fridge.
Yes.
Is there then a special little reserve of the juice that you can like drink as a shot, or like how does that work
Yes.
once the okay, or do you not want to drink that or
I have not drank it yet. I should try that.
Oh,
That's next on my list.
okay.
But for me, it's like the crunch factor.
Aha,
Because it's a
okay.
certain kind of crunch. Go on to YouTube, people, and watch. Sometimes they'll give hippopotamuses at zoos a whole watermelon. And
I have seen
yeah, they
this.
toss it into the back of their mouth and they have all these teeth and they just crunch down on it and it all just goes out. I mean, I'm not a hippo, but it gives me that same sensation.
You feel like you are one with the hippo in that moment that
Yes,
you're eating the
exactly.
watermelon. Oh my gosh, and aside from just in its most pure form, are there any other types of applications or ways to eat it or things that you eat it with, or are you strictly a purist?
Very good question. So my husband, as I said, is a chef. He makes this salad called the Gentleman's Southern Gentleman. He's from New Orleans. And it's a
Okay.
salad that has watermelon, feta, black-eyed peas,
Oh,
and some kind of greens, but no, if I get that salad, all I want is the watermelon.
okay.
And if watermelon's in anything, I just want the watermelon in its purest form.
And was there at all, if you can remember, like a pivotal moment where you remember eating watermelon and thought, "My God, this is exquisite. This is my new favorite thing," or was it something that you just really always enjoyed and has remained something that you continue to love very much?
I think it has become almost more of a recent thing. I mean, I remember
Mm.
having it at kids' parties when it was cut in the triangles, which I don't like as much. Like even the rind,
Oh,
I don't need the rind. I just want the
sure.
meat. I just
Sure,
want the
sure.
flesh of that
Yes,
watermelon.
yes.
And when I was pregnant 20 years ago, I think that was something that was very hydrating and soothing.
Mm.
And so, yeah, for the last a couple decades, but watermelon stands out on its own in a totally different way. It almost feels honestly like decadent to me.
Ooh,
And partially that's because not because it's not available, but because you kind of never know what you're going to get. Um,
okay. And what do you mean?
well,
Like, if it is gonna be beautiful and crisp, or if it's gonna be mushy and weird, or
exactly. So if it's mushy, that's
okay.
just like a huge disappointment. I
Yeah,
look,
yeah, it's a bad surprise actually, because then you've got, like, this whole thing, yeah.
I know there's ways of knowing, but I'm not that good at it. We try to figure there's always a mystery factor. Erewhon Foods in LA, which I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with.
I know that they are not cheap.
No, they're not cheap, and they are famous for most recently having a $19 Japanese strawberry. It's just one strawberry.
Oh dear, okay.
But if they
1
were
strawberry?
yeah, for $19,
How is it presented? Like,
a
is it in a
little
box or,
box.
like, a jar?
A
Oh boy.
little box, and it
Okay.
I've not gotten it because strawberries aren't my thing. I would
Okay.
do 100, $200 worth perfect watermelon.
Mhm. Okay.
So there we go. So there's a true lustful obsession.
Yes, the fandom is real for that, and, of course, to better understand and appreciate our food, we have to know where it came
And
from.
I'm dying to learn about this.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Picture this. It's July. The sun's beaming down. You're sweating through your clothes. Cicadas are screaming.
Ugh,
And someone plunks down a giant green striped mass on the table.
mm.
There's a moment of anticipation. Then, crack. That snap as a knife breaks through the rind. Suddenly, the air smells like sugar and summer. Doesn't that sound fun and romantic? That's watermelon, found at almost every cookout, pool party, and roadside fruit stand. But behind all that sweetness lies one of the oldest, most traveled, and believe it or not, most politically complicated fruits on the planet. Today, we're slicing into the story of Citrullus lanatus, and no, that's not a Harry Potter spell. It's a fruit that started in the deserts of Africa, journeyed through the tombs of pharaohs, sailed across trade routes, ended up in America's fields and fridges, and somehow became both a symbol of joy and a weapon of racism. And yes, we'll also talk about those fun cube shaped ones from Japan. Let's start where it all began in the hot African desert.
Mm.
For a long time, scientists thought it was native to southern Africa. They pointed to a bitter melon called Citrullus amarus, a citron melon, as the ancestor. But modern genetic research, because yes, people are out there sequencing melon DNA, flipped that theory on its head. It turns out the real ancestor is the Kordofan melon, a wild variety found in Sudan and South Sudan. This is huge because it lines up with ancient Egyptian art showing striped, oblong melons painted over 4,000 years ago in royal tombs. In fact, one mural from Saqqara shows a melon that looks suspiciously like the ones we eat today, proof that Egyptians weren't just building pyramids, they were also perfecting their summer fruit game. Ariane, would you have guessed that watermelons first start to pop up in Northeast Africa and then later painted in Egyptian murals?
I could never have imagined, but I have chills because basically what
Oh,
you're saying is that the watermelon is up here and the pyramids are like right here.
that is exactly what I'm saying. And for anybody listening as a podcast, the watermelon bar, very, very high. Pyramids, a close second, but lower. Yeah.
Exactly. I
Uh huh.
am so many questions. I mean, one being of like, how was it transported? And but so the original watermelons, were they similar to the ones today or were they different?
Well, they were certainly different, and I will not leave you hanging. I will tell you a little bit more about those. We do have some of those, mural evidence on these walls, which in ancient Egypt, these murals, they were used to put relevant and very important
Wow.
symbols and imagery on. If you had your own mural today, what kind of imagery, symbols, or items would you paint on there that you found to be very important to you?
I
I mean,
mean,
aside from watermelon.
yes, easy. I would have my 2 little scruffy bearded dogs. I would have
Oh,
my husband maybe cooking while on a surfboard because that's what he likes to do. I'd have some kind of improvisational moment. I'd have some wind because I love the wind, and then maybe a big cornucopia filled with watermelon.
a cornucopia filled with watermelon. This is amazing.
The
Oh,
the
this
fact
this
that watermelon, I mean, this is kind of blowing my mind because when I originally thought of this, I was like, well, it's a fruit. And so how much history can there be? Right.
mm,
And wow, ancient Egypt. And
I
I can
know.
understand why. I mean, you're on the River Nile and it's burning hot outside. And like, what better way to refresh yourself? It actually gives a very romantic, and as I said at the beginning, sensuous feel to the whole thing. So this is
Yes.
exciting that it made its way into art
Oh,
on the
yes.
walls. That's
Yes,
amazing.
I know. And to answer your question, these early melons, well, they probably weren't sweet.
Right.
They were pale, maybe even bitter. People
Mhm.
didn't eat them for dessert. They used them like ancient canteens because in the middle of a desert, a fruit that's 90% water is basically nature's hydration pack. You could literally carry a melon to survive a dry spell. Over centuries, humans started selecting for sweetness, color, and juiciness. Slowly, we went from bitter melons to sweet ones, basically desert to dessert. So,
Mhm.
yes, your poolside slice has ancestors that once rolled through the sands of ancient Sudan. By around 2500 BCE, watermelon was firmly established in Egypt. Seeds and leaf fragments have been found in pharaohs' tombs, including King Tut's. Egyptians believed the fruit could hydrate souls in the afterlife, kind of like a cosmic Gatorade. In tomb paintings, watermelon sits alongside grapes and figs, the elite fruit of ancient banquets. That means at this point, it had upgraded from survival fruit and is now gourmet. Ariane, our early watermelon used to be survival only. Then it got a glow up. It's now a little bit fancy. Are there any gourmet foods today or foods that are regarded as gourmet that you think are purely overrated?
Yeah, I appreciate the whole, what's the word? The molecular, the scientific, where
Uh
it's
huh.
home and I've gone to my fair share of interesting restaurants where things are deconstructed to that point. But no, I think as my favorite food will show you, I'm pretty down to earth as watermelons are, and salt of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
which you might want with a watermelon. I have to say, with the information that you just gave of this kind of trajectory of people traveling and using it as a canteen, because I mean, even today, I think of it as like the most hydrating thing there is. Hydration is just such a big thing on social media. And for a perimenopausal woman, I get ads
Okay.
on social media just constantly for these like, hydration salts, hydration drinks, electrolyte
Oh,
packets, right? It's just constant. And I just think of watermelon as my own natural one. So it sounds like that's what people were doing as they were literally trying to survive in the desert. But the fact that you then start mentioning people like King Tut means that also it's pretty fancy. And maybe I have the palate of an ancient Egyptian royal. So that makes me feel very,
okay.
very special. I had
Yes.
no idea. I honestly kind of thought watermelon was just kind of an afterthought. And you
Mm,
mentioned these pictures of, we always see the grapes and that's the one that sticks out. But to think that
mhm.
watermelon was there too.
Yes, we somehow always get this imagery in modern day movies, and by modern, I'm maybe referencing the Cleopatra movie with
Totally.
Elizabeth Taylor, and you think of like grapes and things like that. I think for movie purposes, it was very romantic to show, like the grapes and you
Yeah.
eat one by one. The watermelon may have been a very like slushy
You
situation. So
have to
like I don't
like the hippo. Yeah, like the way I was,
Yes.
yeah.
They were like, "This is not sexy for Hollywood. You keep watermelon in the back. We're just gonna focus on the grapes for this one." But in real life, to be a fly on the wall, but I'm sure, who knows? Maybe they were feeding, pizza slice style
That's right.
watermelon.
We're just digging into it, cutting it in half and digging into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just going crazy. We don't know, but we can imagine in our mind's eye.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, from there, watermelon floated north and east along trade routes. Greeks and Romans loved it for its cooling properties, especially during hot Mediterranean summers. Greek physicians even prescribed it for heat and thirst of the stomach, which is a phrase I very much want to use today. By the 7th century CE, it reached reached India. By the 10th, it was thriving in Chinese imperial gardens. The Moors brought it into Spain around the 10th century, where it spread through Europe. By the late Middle Ages, watermelon was popping up in European herbals, which were basically early plant encyclopedias, but it looked different. Paler flesh, thicker rind, and seeds galore. The deep red, seedless version we now know came after centuries of selective breeding. When European colonizers set sail to the Americas, they brought watermelon seeds, and by 1576, watermelon was growing in Florida. By 1629, it landed in Massachusetts. Thomas Jefferson, a man who cannot get out of some of these Sprung on Food episodes, like the history of macaroni and cheese, the history of cookies and cream, the history of asparagus, which you can check out on YouTube or available wherever you get your podcasts. He even grew them at Monticello, his residence in Virginia, because, of course, he did. But here's where watermelon's American history turns complicated. In the South, enslaved Africans cultivated watermelons for food and sometimes profit. After emancipation, many newly freed Black farmers grew and sold them independently. It was one of the few crops that didn't require expensive land or equipment. That independence terrified white supremacists, and so, in the late 19th century, racist propaganda twisted the image of Black joy, Black people eating watermelon, into a stereotype meant to degrade. So watermelon became this double-edged symbol. On one side, freedom and prosperity. On the other, a cruel caricature. That tension, unfortunately, still echoes today. Ariane, this example, like many, many others throughout history, are 1000% super messed up. A
Mhm.
lot of times people will say that after lots of pain and tears, laughter can feel very healing. As someone from the groundlings, what do you think that laughter and humor can bring to people that, you know, really heals the soul? And is there something about that that made you gravitate to that as a career?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, first of all, I always find myself the worse a situation gets. It's not that the funnier it gets, but sometimes things are so bad that all you can do is laugh. And
Right.
it doesn't mean that they aren't harrowing and terrible. I lost my mom when I was 3. I've had a lot
Mm,
of really close losses. I've struggled with this is my preempt to why I'm into comedy. Struggled a lot with anxiety and depression. The way I look at it is the deeper that kind of cavern of grief or sadness your soul might have excavated, it leaves this big place, right? And for me, it's a really nice big place to put laughter into.
mm,
So I really see it as like kind of the deeper the grief, the deeper the sorrow that many of us have been through, right? We're not these kind of just base, even keel people. The more space you have for joy, and I'm talking about real joy and real laughter. I'm not talking about pushing fake positivity or forcing yourself to laugh at things. I'm just talking about, being human is ridiculous. Our
mm.
bodies are ridiculous. Our relationships can be ridiculous. And it's been a way for me to revel in being human, right? Not to gloss over things and say I'm just going to laugh at that at all, but just as I've experienced, the depths of despair, I've also experienced the depths and the heights and the, like, imagine a watermelon, right?
Okay.
A whole watermelon filled with all the good stuff. So I love looking at things that way. And I think having kind of a whimsical, human centric, like, I'm curious about people. I think curiosity brings and breeds humor. And contrary to what some people think, at least at the Groundlings, we're not doing caricatures. We're not making fun of somebody and laughing at them. You have to really love that character. And it's usually excavated from a part of yourself. Maybe sometimes the part of yourself that you really don't like the most, you can bring out, and it kind of blossoms through finding ways to laugh with it and laugh at it.
I've said this before on this show and in life. I have such an admiration for people who have improvisational skills, whether they do it in a performance type of way professionally, or they just are really excellent at it in life. They're able to just come up with, even if it's a response that's very witty or interesting, very fast, or creating a whole scenario essentially out of thin air.
Mhm.
I'm always in awe. And I can understand why like corporate, offices and things like that bring their people to.
I've done a lot of corporate training from, engineers at Google who at the beginning of the session said, like, this is worse than getting a root canal. I don't want to do
Oh no.
this. And by the end, we're like, that was really fun. And I've worked with like Kim Kardashian.
You probably had to sign an NDA for this, but how was Kim Kardashian at Improv?
I didn't have to sign an NDA. I have to
Okay. How
tell
was she at
you,
Improv?
I know. So she gets a lot of, as we know, criticism. I was blown away by Kim Kardashian. She's
Really?
very, 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 very smart. She's very smart. She's very quick. She also has this aura about her that's extremely calm. It's totally opposite of somebody who's flashy and wants attention. She
Wow.
was not that at all. She just sat, she had a very zen, composed, calm persona. And then after we talked, and she said she really is a perfectionist.
Mm,
And a lot of people get stuck in perfectionism and it makes them never start. And what improv does is it breaks that down. We work from kind of the gray area, which is the stuff that's not at the front of our head, the stuff that's not over analyzed, the part of you that's not saying I have to be perfect, people have to like me, etc. We allow what we already know and kind of our own ancient knowledge, so to speak, to come out often in a playful way, and we surprise ourselves.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That might surprise a lot of people to hear, like, okay, Kim K was doing some improv. Well, fast forward about a century or two, and the watermelon world starts to get a lot more scientific. Enter Hitoshi Kihara, a Japanese geneticist in the 20th century who cracked one of the great mysteries of melon making: how to create a watermelon without mature seeds. He realized that if you cross a normal watermelon with two sets of chromosomes with a specially treated one that has four sets, the offspring with three sets can't reproduce properly. In other words, seedless watermelon. Kihara's insight laid the foundation for what would become one of the biggest agricultural revolutions of modern produce. In 1939, Japanese scientists developed these triploid watermelons. It took decades to refine, but by the early 2000s, seedless melons dominated US sales. Today, they make up about 85% of the American market. But innovation didn't stop there. In Taiwan, Dr. Chen Wenyu, affectionately dubbed the Watermelon King, took Kihara's theory and ran with it. Over his lifetime, Chen developed more than 280 varieties of watermelon. We're talking red flesh, yellow flesh, mini melons, and countless seedless hybrids. His work shaped what we now expect from a watermelon: perfectly crisp, balanced sweetness, no hassle with the seeds, and picture perfect color contrast. Meanwhile, over in China, Wu Mingqiu, a legendary melon breeder, has spent over 6 decades improving the fruit for the modern era. Her work started in 1955, where she then focused on disease resistance, climate adaptability, and yield, ensuring that watermelons could keep up with the changing planet and the exploding population. Today, millions of the melons grown across China come from the varieties she developed, and it now produces over 60% of all watermelons on Earth. See, a little watermelon obsession could be a good thing. Then, in Japan, someone looked at the melon and thought, but what if it were square? In 1978, designer Tomoyuki Ono created cube-shaped melons by growing them in glass molds. They became the ultimate Instagram bait decades before Instagram existed. Ariane, have you seen these cube-shaped melons?
I have, and I'm against them.
Oh, okay. And why?
Because you're stifling the growth of a natural thing and literally
Mm,
putting it into a mold, which is exactly what
yes.
we don't do in improv. And I don't think we should. I mean, I get
Right.
it. I've seen this with all kinds. I've seen lately they for Halloween there's like a glass like yeah goblin, and you can grow an apple
Hmm.
or grow something into that
Hmm.
shape. Which I get it. I get it. It's a novelty. It's funny, but creating a square. I mean, yeah, you're just stifling its natural growth. So not into it.
Fair. And
Or
it was interesting because you had mentioned at the top about you would the $19 strawberry at Erewhon. not interested because you don't like strawberries, but you would spend about 100 to 200 for a watermelon, which is interesting because that is the average retail value for these cube watermelons.
But circling back, you spoke of a Chinese scientist and you said that she was known as the
A legendary melon breeder.
that was the sentence, a legendary melon breeder.
Don't you want that on a shirt?
That's what
Yeah.
I want on a shirt, and I wish I
Okay.
mean, what a funny thing for that, like, "This is so and so, she's a legendary melon breeder." Like, in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, in Hollywood, everybody has something to do with the industry. It's always like, "What show have you been on, and what are you doing lately?" I would love just to be saying, "I'm a legendary melon breeder, actually."
I
So,
mean,
there
you absolutely could, and then just get ready for the follow-up questions, but
yeah.
or maybe there wouldn't be any. They just wouldn't know where to go with that.
No.
Well, watermelon isn't just a great fruit to eat. It's got nutritious benefits too. Watermelon is about 91% water, giving you, as you've said, hydration with a splash of vitamins A and C and a good dose of antioxidants like lycopene and beta carotene.
No.
That red color, thank you, lycopene. It's the same pigment that makes tomatoes red. And if you've ever been told not to eat the rind, surprised, it's edible. Cooked or pickled, it's a southern delicacy. Amelia Simmons even included watermelon rind pickles in American Cookery, the first U.S. cookbook published in 1796.
Wow.
The rind also contains citrulline, an amino acid that helps with circulation, and yes, some studies link it loosely to performance, so call it nature's little blue pill, but that's as far as the science goes. Then there's watermelon juice. Brands even have turned it into trendy bottled drinks, claiming hydration benefits and electrolytes. And globally, watermelon has its cultural fingerprints everywhere. In China and Japan, it's a summer gift. In Greece, it's a go-to post-dinner dessert. In Turkey, it's sold on street corners by the slice. And while we might think of watermelon as just one thing, big, red, and sweet, there are actually over, do you want to guess how many varieties of watermelon there are around the world?
I mean, only because I've seen that there's big varieties, or let's say 200 something.
Okay, well, by Price is Right rules, you would win, but it's actually over
Oh,
1,200 varieties
that's
grown
crazy.
around the world.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, some of these varieties I will list, do not worry, not all 1,000 of them. Some of their names sound like race horses that you could find at the Kentucky Derby.
Oh.
We've got Moon and Stars with
Mm.
dark green rind, speckled like the night sky, and deep crimson flesh. Orange Glow, a sunshine-hued melon with honey sweet flavor. Sugar Baby, a petite classic that's small, round, and intensely sweet. Charleston Gray, the long, oblong southern favorite with a pale green outside and firm pink flesh. And Black Diamond, a dramatic, almost obsidian skin melon with a rich, old-fashioned sweetness. These names, I love them. But if you had your own watermelon variety, what would you name it and what would the qualities of that watermelon be?
Being that I'm an improviser, I would call it the yes and.
Okay.
So I would take a bite, and it means you take a bite, you say yes, and I'm gonna have more, and and. But those names are amazing. I know that there were names for apples, but
hmm
I guess there probably are for all fruits. Now this makes me want to Google some of those names and like order one.
Yeah, you may very well have already been
Right.
eating a lot of these. I was trying to in research, I was like, well, what's maybe one of the most common ones that like people see? So there's one called Crimson Sweet, and that's a very like typical one you might find at the grocery store. But the thing is, I feel like if you go out to maybe at Erewhon they specify. I don't
Yeah.
have one in New York where I live, but in most places it'll just be like watermelon
Yeah.
and it may not say the variety. So you may not always know exactly what you're getting, but you could print up a chart at home, and then when your husband cracks into it, you can then see and try and, find it in that list of 1,200, which one matches up.
Well,
So,
I'm a recent empty nester. My son just went to college, and I have
okay.
been thinking about what I should do with my extra time. I did recently, I have seen sugar babies. They have
Mm,
sugar baby is a name of a lot of different produce, I think. Um,
probably. And people.
and
Yeah.
people, well, You
Yeah.
might need I might need a sugar daddy to be able to afford all
Okay.
the sugar babies that I want, but I think I'm gonna go
Mm.
buy a sugar baby today.
I like that plan. Something to look forward to. So, what's going on with watermelons today, and what's in store for the future? Watermelon farming faces challenges today: climate change, water scarcity, diseases, pests, but genetic research, especially comparing modern varieties to that wild Kordofan ancestor, could unlock disease resistance and sustainability improvements. CRISPR gene editing technology and gene editing are being explored to tweak shelf life and flavor without altering the fruit's identity. Breeders are even experimenting with new flesh colors: yellow, orange, and white, and rind eating varieties. Meanwhile, chefs are reducing waste by using every part of the melon: grilling the flesh, pickling the rind, even roasting the seeds. Shout out to sustainability. So, the next time you cut yourself a slice of watermelon, you're really holding a piece of pretty amazing history. From Sudan's wild melons to Egyptian tombs, Moorish gardens, plantation fields, and modern supermarkets, watermelon has seen it all. It's survived empire, migration, and it's been celebrated, stigmatized, and reinvented. And still, after thousands of years, it delivers the same feeling it did in the beginning: pure, uncomplicated joy. Ariane, what do you think of the backstory of watermelon?
I am my jaw's on the floor. Honestly, I
Yeah,
honestly had no idea. I was like, how much information can there be about watermelon? I mean, I should have
sure.
known, but I love it. It's super colorful. I just love the African roots. I love the King Tut of it all. I love that it survived so many different migrations to so many different places. Yeah, watermelons are survivors.
Okay, another t-shirt.
They're
Wonderful. Yep.
survivors. Be a
Mhm.
watermelon, be a survivor. Yeah.
Yes, it is a lot of fun when some of my guests will choose foods that might seemingly feel like it'll be a sentence long of history, like grows in
Right.
the ground, the end. But those in particular are usually the ones that excite me the most because I
Mm.
know that there is so much to be learned about just even the most simple, seemingly simple thing.
It's really cool also to think of the scientists and different people who have kind of dedicated their lives to that. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
the watermelon king. Yeah, we've got the
Mhm.
our labor. What? Oh no, what was her name
Yeah,
again?
what was
The
she was a
breeder, the legendary
legendary
breeder.
watermelon breeder or legendary melon breeder. I mean, come on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, yep, there are people that are out there that this is your community. There are people
Right.
that
I
love
mean, in a world where
watermelon.
everyone wants to be Instagram famous, I don't know. People aren't digging deep enough. These
There
people
you
are
go.
the real magicians from history. That's
I'm
very
telling you, yeah.
exciting. I love it.
Yes, yes. Well, if you can believe it, watermelon has even made its way into some modern pop culture moments. In the 1980s, comedian Gallagher turned watermelon into a pop culture spectacle with his infamous sledge-o-matic routine,
Mhm.
smashing the fruit on stage with a giant mallet and showering audiences in pulp. In Ukraine, Kherson has an actual watermelon monument, a massive sculpture honoring the region's beloved crop. The largest watermelon ever recorded was grown by Chris Kent of Tennessee in 2013. It weighed, Ariane, would you like to venture a guess of how much this watermelon weighed?
600 pounds around?
Okay, I love your enthusiasm. If you got two of them together, they absolutely
Oh,
would. But this
wow.
one in
Okay.
particular was 350.5
Wow.
pounds, which coincidentally is a very similar weight to the size of a baby hippo, who we
Oh,
know
I would
love
want to
them.
eat one.
So
Yeah.
that's a cute moment. 2016, BuzzFeed streamed an exploding watermelon experiment by wrapping rubber bands around a watermelon until it burst. The live video on Facebook peaked at over 800,000 views. In 2017, there was a playful social media trend where people hold a usually triangular piece of watermelon aligned to appear as a dress, often a child or someone standing
Hmm.
behind the watermelon slice, creating a quote unquote watermelon dress optical illusion. In 2018, in New York, Duck's Eatery caused a stir when it started offering a smoked watermelon quote unquote ham. A watermelon brine dried and smoked like meat. It went so viral that the waiting list reportedly swelled up to 30 days. The song Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles, released May 2020, became a summer anthem, and the song hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US. More recently, watermelon imagery and even the watermelon emoji has been adopted in protest and art as a symbol of solidarity with Palestinians. Because the sliced watermelon's colors, red, green, white, and black, echo the colors of the Palestinian flag, activists have used watermelon visuals in banners, posters, and social media posts. And August 3rd is National Watermelon Day in the US. Have you been
Can't
celebrating
believe
National
it.
Watermelon?
I cannot believe I've been missing that.
Oh
I'm
boy.
gonna put a big watermelon star on August 3rd. Wow.
Beautiful. You may inadvertently have been celebrating. Maybe you just
I
didn't.
probably was, yeah.
Right. It's
Gosh.
in the summer. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you
Yeah.
have. Are there any other pop culture moments that come to mind where you think watermelon made its mark, or are there any final words that you have about your favorite food?
Yes. My final words are, don't put rubber bands around watermelon until it is in so much pain and distress that it
Mm,
explodes.
yes.
I'm I'm
Yes.
against I'm against it. Come on. I,
Yeah.
I'm against boxing anything in. Eat
Yes.
it. Find a good one and eat it. Eat it and share it. But let's bring
Mm.
the world together through sharing what we love. And in my case, that would be watermelon. So, how fun to hear about the journey of the watermelon. I'm so excited to go get one right now.
Ooh, I love it, and I will not make you wait for that. My friend, thank you so much for sharing your love of watermelon and helping me to tell its story.
Thank you. This was more than I could have ever imagined. I feel it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.